Humana. Welcome to the Paper Call Blueprint Radio Hour. Episode 3. I am your host, Gene Morris, paper caller extraordinaire. Let me see here. I got two cameras. Got two cameras rolling today. Hopefully the audio is getting better. What's a better angle? This is probably a good angle. Got a lot going on right now. I hope you're doing good out there in the world. Hope your paper call campaigns are working, kicking ass. I got a few that are doing pretty good, and I got a few that I had to pause. I got a couple things I'm testing right now. I have the network data pulled up right now for Palo Media Group. So I'm looking at the network data, and I'm looking at what's hot on the network right now. It's where I spend most of my time. So today we're going to talk a little bit about offers. We're going to talk a little bit about things that I'm dabbling in. I have no idea if they'll work. I'll talk about what's not working, and then talk a little bit about what's working. The thing about what's working is, it's what's working for me. And of course, I don't want to give away that information because next week I'll have another episode and I'll start talking about why it's not working anymore because I told the world, right? So I kind of want to put myself on the back burner and just talk a little more about what's going on in the world of paper call, in particular Palo, because right now that's kind of where my pulse is. My finger is on their pulse more than the rest of the industry. However, there's a bunch of Facebook paper call groups. Go meet up. There's the caller meetup. Ringbuzz got one called, I think it's just called Paper Call, and then Palo's got one called the Caller Meetup. So which is really good if you're into just staying connected with people. That's super important, right? In this industry, you make money when you're connected to people, and if you're not connected to people, you're probably not doing so hot, right? So if you don't have like your affiliate manager like on speed dial, like you're not on Skype, if they're not in Slack, if they're not on your phone or something of that nature, then you probably don't have a good enough relationship with those people. And it is particularly really hard if you got, say, like five networks you're working with. So try to whittle things down to like your best 2 or 3 networks, and then actually develop relationships with the people that run those networks. The things that I am running on Palo aren't available to you. I'm sorry, they're just not. They're private offers, and that's how we I don't want to call myself a super affiliate because I could go, I'm making all this money right now, but then like next month I'll be back to trying to put together a 3-figure a day campaign. It's just the way it goes. It ebbs and flows. There's a pattern. There's a pattern. I don't know if I got this thing all the way down, do I? Yeah, there we go. That's better. Yeah, it goes in a cycle. See that? That was a cycle. That's a sine wave. Things go in cycles in marketing, which is why you always got to be testing new offers. And once you get some workhorse campaigns kind of going, you got to keep those things going and keep the buyers happy and keep the networks happy, of course. What's going on in the world of Palo right now? I'm looking at their data, and what's kicking off, aside from the typical mental health and addiction that they run, there's a lot of Social Security disability. Remember last week I talked about a pay bump there, and if you have SSDI, if you have disability traffic, $18. I think you can even get a pay bump above that if you actually have good quality traffic. That's a new era for SSD, Social Security Disability Insurance. And I'm kind of messing with it a little bit. I can't make it work in search. My quality scores are too bad, and the cost of doing business is just too high as a result of those poor quality scores. I got some dynamic search ads kind of running. I'm not spending a ton of money. That's the problem with Google. I don't know if it's a problem, but it's one of like the cruxes of running with like say Google ads is like. Sometimes part of the trouble or part of the battle of a campaign is just getting the traffic turned on, getting impression flow. I was talking to Candace Kraus the other day, and Candace is the buyer side manager for the legal stuff on Palo, And budgets are super fat on 3M, which is 3M military hearing combat earplugs. Yeah, there we go. 3M earplugs, the combat earplugs lawsuit. That and Roundup. Roundup is a big one, and the hernia mesh campaign that they're running. All got like the best terms. The hardest part about that thing, about these campaigns, of course, is you're dealing with competition that has big, fat, deep budgets. And she was telling me, she's just like, man, we are sitting on a gold mine here if we can figure out how to get the calls turned on. And where it's worked in the past, or where it's probably working the best right now, is that we have, her intel says that we have radio and television are the top dogs. So I thought to myself, if radio and TV work so good for these kind of like class action lawsuit things, then maybe I should jump into Google Display and start running some video ads, right? We're going to start running some video ads. We'll take them to a direct response lander that is has two options. One, if you're on a desktop, you fill out a form. If you're on a mobile phone, then it's going to be a click to call button. Right now, I'm just focusing on the mobile side, the mobile phone side, for obvious reasons, right? And again, trying to get that impression flow going. I mean, it's like you set up a display campaign, and it can be all or nothing. So the targeting can be very specific, or you can kind of open it up to everybody, and just run kind of broad and spend a ton of money in like 15 minutes and hit nobody and get no conversions. Or you can buckle it down and just run specific. So I'm running a bunch of keywords that I use in search for YouTube right now. And just today, after like 3 or 4 days, I just keep adding more and more keywords just so I can get that impression flow going. Because I'm really more focused not in the affinity side or the intent side in terms of market intent. Like, what are these people? Well, I guess more of affinity. It's not so much intent, but the best thing for me to target right now, I think, are keywords. Because I got a history of keywords in my search campaigns that I can test on the display side. So that's the goal right now, is just to see if I can get based off this tip about TV, is like, because I could run Google YouTube traffic. I could run YouTube traffic on people's televisions. That's a gimme, right? But if we can do that, we might as well run it on desktop. And we also might as well just run it on mobile and just see what happens, because it doesn't hurt to spend a few bucks here, especially if we can tap it and figure it out. There's some really good like websites now to make videos. I mean, there's what is it, Slidely? There's a website called promo.com now. Promo.com, and it's like for $100 a month, they'll give you credits that will allow you to compile like videos that are just perfect for Facebook and YouTube and so forth. So those interstitial ads and bumper ads and so forth. This thing works perfectly. I happen to have a buddy of mine made a commercial for me who was actually going to run the Roundup campaign, and then got sidetracked onto something else. But he gave me his video advertisement, and I jumped into my Premiere Pro and Adobe Premiere Pro for video editing purposes, and I went ahead and added a phone number and cleaned it up a little bit and put it out there. So right now I'm in that process of just trying to figure out, like, hey, can we use the Google version of TV, with these campaigns, if it works. So I don't know if it's gonna mount to anything. We'll see. If anything, it's a fun experiment. But that kind of leads me down the path of like asking that question, to the world. What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing outside of Google search to generate phone calls? Craigslist is one source of traffic. I've heard some people running on Bing, but not very successfully. I've given up on Bing. For calls, I can never make it work. Snapchat's big right now too, but I guess they're kind of laying down the law over there, and it's getting harder and harder to get approved on things like basic shit. You can't get approved on so much anymore. But there's so many like untapped traffic sources that have the potential. The intent might not be there, to make the phone call, but to develop kind of a lead funnel, to just do some lead gen, basic lead gen. Let me get somebody in a form, just get them to push a button. If you can do that, then chances are you can market to them later, So just starting to like scratch my head at those ideas, relatively, do it cheap, so you see if it works or not. But there's those three Lego programs that that are working pretty well on, or they're available on Palo. There's not a ton of volume over there because I have a feeling a lot of publishers are like me. They're in the same boat where if you're running Google ads, like a search campaign, you're probably getting beat out by the law firms that you're competing against. They have deeper pockets, no margins to worry about like a network does, and so forth. And it's just a lot more difficult. So we got to start working a little bit harder at these campaigns, and that's kind of where my focus has been right now. I have a pay-per-call publisher. It used to be a publisher of mine when I was an account manager, and she also bought my course, and it's Jill Kane. Thanks, Jill. Thanks for she's probably watching this right now anyway. And she asked me, she's like, "Hey, I'm just getting back into the space." It's like she's been in and out of the space, and probably a lot of us have been in and out of the space as campaigns become available, like good campaigns, good offers, And she was asking me, she's like, "Hey, what's going on? Is it still kind of an uphill battle? And is there anything good out there?" And I was just like, it's like it always has been, always was. It's just affiliate marketing. It's always an uphill battle. And again, it comes down to like, how resourceful are you? How creative are you? And what are you willing to do to go above and beyond like what your competition is doing, right? That's the big thing. I'm gonna switch camera views right now. Yeah, right there. Yeah, so that becomes the big thing, man. It's like, what are you willing to do to do something different that your competition isn't doing? Because we're all in Google Ads, we're all running search traffic, we're all trying to do the same thing, and that's like, that's welcome to the. That's like welcome to the foundation. Welcome to the club. This is where I got screwed up with natives too, because I was starting to run natives for a while, just testing again, because I had a bunch of money to test, and I was like, man, these guys make so much money over at on the native side, and so then I go sign up to Mad Society, and that's Malin Darris's forum, and I get my third-party tracker. At the time, it was Thrive, and of course, I get like the big package, like a dummy. I get like Lander Bolt, which is like a landing page kind of creator that allows you to kind of integrate with Thrive, the Thrive tracker. So they've done a really good job because back in the old days, like the original volume, like the volume days, when things weren't so easy, you had to have servers. And they had to be fast servers, and then you were using HTML pages, and you were creating these landing pages, or you're ripping landing pages from the internet, based on like whatever it is your competition was doing, what the spy tools were telling you, and then you would tweak the copy a little bit, and then you throw them up on after you got it in your tracker, you throw it up on your server, and then you could go test, and it becomes a time-consuming, like super time-consuming process when you're one person doing everything from ad copy to making the ads, to making the landing pages, to sourcing the offers, to putting it all together in the tracker, and then turning everything on, and then optimizing your way. And it's a hard way to make money. And only to find out too that you're dealing with a lot of other affiliates that are competing. In fact, they're not only competing with you, but they're just waiting for you to like put something out there that they can steal from you, and vice versa. I mean, that's just the way it goes. But that's not the true solution to finding a winning campaign. I don't think. I think the true solution to finding a winning campaign, like if you're thinking big picture and you're tired of the rat race and you're tired of fighting you're tired of fighting your fellow publisher, as to either create your own offer or go team up with somebody who's capable of creating an offer and run that exclusively. You become kind of like the AOR. It's like you're the marketing person, you're the advertiser on record for that buyer, and that gives you the opportunity to really kind of flesh things out without having fear of like somebody stealing your campaign and running the same offer and doing a better job, because there's nothing worse than like you working your butt off to like put together a campaign and maybe it works, and then a guy like Malin comes in and steals your campaign and then really makes it work, right? That's just an example. I'm not saying you do that. he's a guy that's got his own he's got his own world, and I'm sure he's got all his special deals and his own little moats, his little hookups with his networks like A4D and so forth. So, but that's the big takeaway. It's like you understand kind of like what it takes to put together a campaign, and then you kind of analyze like why isn't it not working, and then you start to backtrack and you figure out like what can I do outside of my circle of influence or inside my circle of influence that allows me to manipulate the rules in my favor. So maybe that's a higher payout, maybe that is again like going and finding an exclusive offer that only you can run. And those is like the natives thing. So like the last time I got into the native stuff, I got to a point where I was converting, right? Like you fast forward like 3 or 4 years of like internet marketing, like even pay per call. It's like you jump into pay per call and you get pay per call working. It doesn't matter. It's a form of marketing. You kind of understand what works, what's required to make it work, and then so you can carry that kind of experience over to any other vertical or other type of marketing, and get yourself. You're way ahead of the game. Then say like a Joe newbie rolls in and he wants to get started. It's like you're way ahead of that person. So it wasn't hard. It wasn't hard for me to like start turning out conversions on native. Like that's not a big deal. The problem is like keeping the traffic source happy. Like trying to keep your CTR up so your price is down. It's the same game like you play over here on Google side too. It's like you're just fighting everybody. The affiliate is always kind of between a rock and a hard place. When things are working good and you're making tons of money, that's the place to be, right? It's like that's why everybody envies like a publisher or an affiliate marketer who makes a lot of money, because you're like, oh my God, those guys make so much money. But on the flip side of that, it's like to get one of those campaigns off the ground. Usually ends up in failure, and it takes a lot to get to the point where it's like you have some level of mastery in it, and you're actually making money. And I think my last go around with natives, I was like $4,000 or $5,000 in on it, and I was like, I was breaking even on some days and then losing money on other days, and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, what can I optimize here? And it's like, who wants to be up late at night trying to change headlines or the color of a headline or something on a page? And I was just like, okay, let's go back. And it was my friend David actually brought this up too. He's like, don't waste your time and your energy and your money trying to figure out new shit. Trying to reinvent the wheel somewhere else. It's like you've already got like you've already put all your time and energy into like the Google Ads side. The pay-per-call space. Why not just continue to focus there? It's like, yeah, sometimes, again, it's a cyclical thing, right? It's like strikes and gutters, right? It's like you can be at the top and everybody's loving you, or you can be at the bottom and everybody's like, actually, we don't really talk about the bottom too much. We go radio silent when we're in the bottom. But when we're at the top, we start radio shows. We start podcasts. We start bragging about our courses and stuff like that. But, it's like, hey, it's like I got 5 campaigns running, and if those 5 campaigns go down for some reason, or 2 or 3 of those campaigns go down for some reason, like my ads get banned or whatever, I'm back to like trying to figure out how to make money again. And I don't like those days, but I know they're there. I know I've had them in the past, and I'll have them in the future. It's the guy who can keep coming back. I think is what sets him apart from everybody else, really. It's not so much the failure. I think we all fail. We fail a lot. The campaigns I got running right now, they're great. They're making good money. But 2 months ago, I didn't have those campaigns running. I was running other stuff. I was running more legal stuff. Like for some reason, my Roundup stuff and everything else was working 2 months ago, but it started to slip. So, and I did everything I could to kind of keep him going, but I wasn't making any money anymore, so I had to put him away. I think competition started to pick up, and not only competition, but like lawyer competition, like people running their own traffic. Their CPAs are way higher than our CPAs, or their target CPAs anyway. So that was just kind of a rude awakening. But yeah, again, it comes back to just getting back on the bike and riding it, and just constantly probing and finding new offers to run. So yeah, not affiliate marketing, but pay-per-call in general, I think is, if you're running Google only, like Google call only ads, it's hard. I'm not gonna lie, it's hard. I think at this point right now, it's good to just have good relationships with networks and to keep testing on low budgets, and just if there's something there, try it. Take advantage of it. You can use you can use ClickFunnels. You can create these landing pages, these simple like one-page websites. It seems like Google doesn't have a problem with them, and so you can get up and running pretty fast. I think as long as you got all the right stuff on those landing pages, and you can get testing pretty quick. So with a $99 a month ClickFunnels account, I don't know what it is now. Maybe it's more than $100 a month, but one of these landing page software, Landerbolt, whatever, ClickFunnels, and then just you can build out these quick pages for any vertical, for any offer. Because I used to talk about build out a decent website and have some sort of authority in that niche, whatever it is that you're doing. But now I'm starting to think like why? It's like why go through that effort if the offers aren't as strong as they used to be, right? If you're not getting the organic search traffic that you used to get, or it just seems like to me it's kind of a waste of time now. So I've been backtracking on that. That's my 2019 kind of like aha moment. I'm like, oh, screw these authority websites. I mean, I've gotten into some SEO, like some SEO Facebook groups, and I get tired just reading what people are doing to try to get free traffic. I mean, if you just to sum up all of the time and energy and expertise they put into SEO, like organic SEO, and they put all that into their paid traffic, I think they would just be way better off. I think they just make way more money. But I don't know. Maybe they just don't value their time the same way like a paid search person does. Personally, I don't want to spend all this time like trying to make a website and please effing Google, so they might give you some traffic, and then 6 months later they'll throw out some sort of new update that'll get rid of your traffic, which seems to happen quite a bit. So I don't know. What else is going good here? So I talked about SSDI. We got Roundup. Looks like credit repair is pretty hot. If I remember correctly, it's paying out like $15-16. I don't know what that is. Let me see if I can find it. But I was running this one too, and this is a profitable one. Only thing is I shut it off because it was only making like 20 or 25 bucks a day. And some days it didn't make any money, and then you'd look back and you're like, oh wow, I spent like $1,000 to make $1,050, and I gave up on that one. But I was running. But I'll give you some tips on it. Let me find it. So these are like probably really good campaigns for people who are relatively new to test, mainly because the traffic isn't super expensive, but the buyer. In this case, the buyer is pretty stringy with the payout. But I know the buyer. I know the guy who actually buys these calls from Palo. 120-second duration, pays out $15. This is credit repair. So these are people looking for credit repair. Really, what's good about this? Here's something interesting about this particular credit repair offer. The buyer will accept customer service calls from who is that other credit repair buyer? It's a law firm. It's been a while since I've been in here. Yeah, Lexington Law. So think about all the credit. So like if you want to run credit repair or you're interested in testing credit repair, one of the things I say is try to avoid anything that's not paying out over $25. So if an offer isn't paying out over $25, then personally I try to stay away from it. I'll test things occasionally, like the SSDI thing. It pays out 18 to 24, I think. Of course, the network gives me the highest payout. My problem with that one too is I was hitting more Social Security insurance people, and the cost was still too expensive for me to optimize on that SSI or that Social Security office traffic, which is really cheap. I mean, like 50, 60, 70 cents a click, for a search campaign. There's just so much volume there, right? So I ran it for a little while, and then I decided to go do with like a dynamic search ads campaign, and then that didn't do anything. You need tons of content on your website for a dynamic search ads campaign to work, and I didn't, so I backburnered that. But the credit repair, this particular offer works when you target customer service on the 3 credit agencies. So like Experian, I don't even know the 3 agencies, credit repair agencies. you got let's see, a bunch of ads at the front top. So you could target Credit Karma, right? Credit Karma customer service. Credit Karma. You just type in Credit Karma, Lexington Law, credit.com. And then of course I typed in credit repair. Oh, I'm sorry. This is credit agencies. Experian, TransUnion. There's all of these different, like, I know there's another one in there too. Equifax, right? So you could put together a campaign that's targeting all of these different companies, right? The credit bureaus, the credit repair companies like Lexington Law, for example. And instead of a campaign that targets them, so you can brand bid on those guys, and the customer service angle. The call center for the credit repair offer knows how to convert customer service calls. Because a lot of time you get people like calling Lexington Law pissed off because Lexington Law did a bad job with their credit repair program. So Lexington Law will charge you monthly to fix your credit. And, if like a year goes by and your credit's not fixed and you're still paying out on these guys, you get pissed off, right? So you want to like talk to like Lexington Law and go like, what the fuck? It's like, why isn't my credit better? And if they happen to call this offer, like they happen to call this credit repair offer, which is it's Credit Pros. It's Credit Pros. Take you to the Credit Pros. You got their IVR. I mean, you have to use their IVR, so there's no like hiding the buyer, right? I mean, the network would prefer not know who the buyer is, but it's like when you call your promo number, you're listening to the Credit Pros IVR. It's just the way it is. So you got to use their IVR. It's a 2-minute IVR, and they take all these different customer service calls. So if you're a creative guy and you can put together a campaign with all kinds of different permutations of customer service related keywords, then you might have yourself a winning campaign here. I gave it a shot again. Running into credit quality score problems again, kind of knocked my cost. My cost went way up as a result of those bad credit quality score. God, credit repair quality score, blah. Pellegrino. This episode was brought to you by Lemon Pellegrino. Yeah. So anyway, that's something that seems to be hot right now, and it looks to be quite popular here on the old Palo network. Speaking of old Palo network, Above All Offers is closing doors. That's another network on the CPA side. My buddy Paul Drakes hooked me up with Above All Offers. So rest in peace, Above All Offers. Good luck with the future, by the way. But yeah, I was connected with them when I was running some Nutra stuff, and I had my first $1,000 day through those guys, and I got to meet the owner, Eli, and it was great. And I've always been. They sent me some gifts and stuff one Christmas. It was so awesome. Got a T-shirt and everything. It's like, hey, that was like the first perk I got as a publisher. Made some money. I got some cool. I got a cool care package at Christmas from Above All Offers. And anyway, today I got an email from them saying that they're shutting their doors. They're moving on. I guess on their end, the buyer side is this industry's very fickle, very wishy-washy. There's a lot of opportunity here, but with a lot of money and a lot of fast money come a lot of scammers, a lot of real shitty human beings. And believe me, there's a lot of good ones in the industry, and we all seem to take care of ourselves. But there's also a lot of just shitbirds out there, And I guess according to the Above All Offers email, they were running into trouble. They had no problem. Any good network will cover a good publisher's payout. So if you're an honest publisher and you're doing a good job, and you'll get paid. You'll get paid. If you're doing your part, you'll get paid. And a lot of times in the CPA side, where you're selling weight loss pills and stuff, if they're not doing prepays, and I don't think they do prepays. Obviously, Above All Offers wasn't doing prepays because they decided to shut down. They're like, we have no problems paying our publishers, but our buyers are having problems paying us, and it's becoming a bad pattern. And I have no idea what they use as a framework for finding buyers. But to shut down your business as a result of something like that, that's pretty harsh. So it says a lot. I don't know if we're going to see more like that, or maybe Eli's just getting kind of tired of the space, running an affiliate network that works in this kind of like, I'm not going to say gray area, but when you deal with like Nutra offers, you deal with a gray area. There's a lot of FTC scrutiny. So all those all those claims and benefits and stuff that aren't true, so there's a lot kind of weighing on a network that deals in those kind of offers, on their shoulders. A lot of legal weight. All it takes is one publisher to make a stupid claim and sell $1 million in product to see $1 million lawsuit. It happens. It happens a lot, unfortunately. But so anyway, good luck to Above All Offers. I hope they. I don't know what's next. Need to find out. Well, anyway, with that being said, what else do they got over here? I just want to kind of look at offers again before I lose track. I got too many tabs opened up here. So SSDI is pretty hot. We got structured settlement. Structured settlement's another interesting one. So I'm running this currently on the internal side. So I don't know if you're familiar with structured settlements. I've never been lucky enough to get a structured settlement, and I've never gotten an annuity. So it was completely new to me. See, I have to work for my money, and a lot of people just have it given to them in court for some reason. And what happens normally is that it's given to them in court. It's usually structured in a way so they don't blow it immediately. So they don't get it all in one lump sum. So the money actually belongs to a company, and the company dishes that money out over time, right? That's a structured settlement. And a lot of times, people they win these structured settlements, and what they want is they want a lump sum. They don't want payments over 25 years or whatever. So there are companies out there like J.G. Wentworth and so forth that will buy your structured settlement and pay you out in a lump sum, and then but there will be a margin in there. So you'll take less on your lump sum, and then J.G. Wentworth, that'll be their profit on this deal. And so there's an offer on here right now that pays out like, God, I don't know, it's a lot. But there's a reason why it's a lot, and it's because it's a hard campaign. However, there's good news. And let me get to the payout on this guy. So I originally started testing this like a year and a half ago. And what I noticed in my traffic, if I go to my search terms, I found, so this one is paying out $185 for a 2-minute call on a press one. And you could probably get a pay bump on that if you actually have decent traffic. But what I noticed when I ran this like a year or so ago was that my search terms had a lot of people looking for funding, like legal funding, pending a structured settlement, right? And it wasn't so much that they wanted a lump sum for the structured settlement, it's that they needed money to continue the court proceedings. And so I went to, I think Candace is the buyer manager on this one, and I said, hey, can we find somebody that is willing to fund people looking to pursue their structured settlement, as opposed to they've got their structured settlement already and they're looking for a lump sum? And she did. So she found another buyer. She found a buyer, or actually I think it's the same company that's buying both. So on the Key Press 1, $185 for a 2-minute call. On the Key Press 2, $20 call, $20 on a 2-minute call, where there's a lot more volume. So a lot of people are looking for legal lending, legal loans, things like that. I found that it's actually easier to target that campaign, and you will find some structured settlement callers in there too. So this kind of like split, like Key Press 2 pays out and this Key Press 1 pays out, is a good opportunity to test the structured settlement side and hopefully cover the costs of your traffic using the legal lending side. Does that make sense? So check that out. It looks like I brought that up because I noticed that people are starting to run it now. It's been on the network for a few months probably actually, and it just looks like it's become it's starting to pick up. So we got we got people spending. Well, they're spending money to buy traffic so they can sell the calls to these people here at the structured settlement people on Palo. I'm in the wrong report. Classic Invoca. Also, I want to bring up one more thing before I get off of here. Make sure I'm still going here. Still going? Yeah, 35 minutes in. Dang, we move fast, don't we? I'm going to be putting out a blog post here pretty quick. I hate writing blog posts because it takes so long, but I think it's important. Now, if you stumble across a campaign that's got some good volume in it and it's working pretty well, actually, let me backtrack a little bit. So right now, I run everything call only in manual mode. So my bidding strategy is, I'm not using any of their smart bidding strategies. I just run everything in manual mode. I don't even check the enhanced box because I noticed that just bumps my budget, or it just eats at my budget and doesn't really improve my ROI. So I just do everything manual, and you know, it may not be as great as like one of their bidding strategies, but at least I know that I'm consistent. And I think that's the big key word. There's nothing worse than like getting a campaign going, making you money, and then after 4 days the thing just starts to like not work anymore. Only because the Google's like AI, supposedly smart machine learning technology, somehow like intelligently drove itself into the ground to the point where you're not getting any more impressions. I don't get it, but so I've always scratched my head, and I've always like hated Google and their reps for like trying to shove this down our throats. But I heard somewhere that these smart bidding strategies work well on bigger volume kind of campaigns. And a lot of times when you're dealing with call only, you don't have those kind of campaigns where people are just desperate to get on the phone, right? And some are, you know, there are some good campaigns that it might work on. But I had some really good success uploading my conversion data, my offline conversion data, using a smart bidding strategy. So if you get to the point where like you're running a campaign and it's pretty successful and you're maybe in a manual mode and you want to see if you can outperform your manual mode campaign, one thing you could try doing is setting up an experiment for like a smart bidding strategy, and then setting up a conversion action that only tracks the offline conversion data. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but there's actually two conversion columns. There's an all conversions column, and then there's just a conversions column. And if you get into the, you know, that little section in Google Ads where you can adjust the columns and stuff, you can see, you'll see both in the conversion section, and you want to add both, and here's why. So when you set up your call only conversion, it's usually set with the little checkbox in it to include conversions in the conversions column. This allows Google's smart bidding strategies to kind of work off of that data and then find where the conversions are. That feedback loop is very helpful for Google's smart bidding strategies. I don't think it matters much if you're running a manual campaign. So if the box is not checked, you know, and you're not including, you know, if you create a call only like a call extension conversion or a call only ad, and you don't check that box, then you're going to see conversions kind of pile up in the all conversions column, but you won't see them pile up inside the conversions column. I know it's kind of complicated in one sense, but just bear with me here. So if you have an all conversions column and then the conversions column, you set and you create this new kind of like split test. You want to split test kind of an experiment with a smart bidding strategy. Then you just want to make sure that you have an additional offline conversion action set up with the box checked to include conversions in the offline conversion action. And then you want to get into Invoca, and most networks have this blocked, and I think it's just a default setting that Invoca put. They changed it. I mean, ask Invoca to do something good, and they'll just do the opposite. That's usually my take. So they used to be there, and now they're not there. So now you got to have to go through the extra effort and work to request that. So the network has to go through the extra effort and work to go turn that back on, and then you'll have the ability to see your DID. I want to say DIDs, but it's not it. Your callers' phone numbers. Jeez, man, I gotta pause for a second and just look at what I'm trying to say. Okay, it's time to get off of here. It's so time to get off here. Caller IDs, man, it's time to get off of here. Yeah. So anyway, you got to get your caller IDs turned on inside Invoca, and your caller IDs and the timestamp will allow you to fill out a Google Sheet that you can upload to Google into your Google Ads account, and the smart bidding strategy will actually optimize off of your best performing caller ID conversions in your data. So if you go to like total connected duration inside Invoca, like, you know, there's all these columns of data. You can select like 11 plus minute calls, and that's all I upload. So I just upload anything over 11 minutes to Google, and that tells Google to only optimize off of those 11-minute calls, which is really good. So so in some cases that this can work for you. All you got to do is go set it up and then just test, run a split test, see what happens, run an experiment for a couple of weeks, and just see if Google can optimize off of the uploaded data. Now, what you'll probably see is higher quality. You probably won't see like a huge like ROI increase. You know, if anything, it probably goes down. You know, so. But it's worth experimenting because, you know, everybody's different. We all run different campaigns. I'm living in a bubble. You're living in a bubble. I have no idea what you're doing. You might be asking yourself, what the hell is Invoca? And I would be like, yeah, we have to use Invoca. It's a platform that we use for all our call tracking and stuff. It's kind of a garden hose. It's kind of a fire hose of information that's not really kind of organized very well. So it's not intuitive. In other words, it's not intuitive. So, but that's what it is. It's just third-party call tracking software. Anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna get off of here. It's been a fun one. We're at 40 minutes already. I keep rambling, but you know what? It's like therapy. So it's good. It's a good way to be creative, and it also kind of forces me to start thinking a little bit more about like how can I add value and bring value here, because. I'm sure we could all use it, right? I mean, it's always good to share. And I love the feedback in the comments section on YouTube. I appreciate the positive feedback. I know those comment sections can end up becoming dumpster fires. You know, there's always somebody there, a little keyboard jockey trying to tell you what you're doing wrong and so forth. And that's cool. I respect that. But I definitely like the happy comments way better than the bad ones. And if there's anything I can do to help, awesome. Check the description for additional links. There is, if you want to become a publisher with Palo, you can sign up through the URL I got in the description. And also, if you need some assistance with your pay-per-call, maybe you need to brush up on your training, you know, or just get a different perspective. I offer a course, Pay-per-Call Blueprint 2019. It basically runs you through how I set things up on a call-only basis, the tools that I use, the mindset that I'm using when I go into a campaign, how to find good offers, how to avoid the bad ones, who to talk to on the networks, how to get approved on the networks. You know, I always tell everybody, I'm like, you know, honestly, you can find everything you need by just using YouTube and Google to get off the ground. But a lot of times it's just like until you see it, you know, unless it's an over-the-shoulder thing. If you're like me, you're a visual learner. You're not a pioneer. You know, you're somebody that needs to see somebody run a mile in under 4 minutes before you can even conceive the thought that you can do it, you know, then this is for you, you know. So if you need somebody to show you the way, if you need some help, if you want to become part of the little community, you know, you want to hit me up on Skype or something, then check out the Pay-per-Call Blueprint course 2019. I mean, I'm looking back and I'm thinking about like how much money I've made over the years through pay-per-call, and the training that I provide in that course is basically what got me there. And I sell that course for $500. So that knowledge really, and that's just more or less just a gate to keep all the tire kickers and looky-loos and amateurs out. That's all it is. That's all it is. Like the serious people have no problem investing in their education and in their future. It's the ones that you give this stuff away to for free that whine about everything, and you know where they show up there, they show up everywhere. They're just victims in life, you know, and that's who they are. That's what they do. You just accept it, you know. Yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, check out the links in the description. Smash that subscribe button if you're new. I want you to take that subscribe button. I want you to squeeze it. I want you to give it a rear naked choke. Just rear naked choke that sucker. Just push that sucker. And if there's a bell there too, sucker punch it. Just sucker punch it. Just hit that bell. And you've done your good deed for the day. Yeah. All right, cool. Take it easy. It's good talking to you guys. Peace out. I'm going to hit the old fade to black here.